Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 9 of the Raider Power Podcast. I'm Ryan, and with me as always is my man Moss and our boy Evan. How are we doing today, fellas?
Howdy, partner. I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, Evan?
I had a feeling something stupid like that was coming, but I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
I like to hear voice,
Had a little sweet tea come out the nose there.
I'm almost doing pretty well. I do like Chris's cowboy hat. It seems authentic.
It's a
really getting into the spirit of the team here. And speaking of the team, it's been a minute since we've done the podcast, but There's a few games to cover, and the team is looking pretty damn good right now, sitting at 13-5 overall.
Yep.
What are our thoughts on where the team stands right fucking now?
Before we get started, I would like to apologize personally for not being on the podcast for the last 4 weeks. It's been hard to schedule things with my partner, so
hey,
I would
Chris,
like
I appreciate your apology, and I'm sure everyone forgives you. Don't worry about it.
So, Chris will do better moving forward, but talking about the team, I think we're looking good, man. I'm happy with where we're at in Big 12 play. Obviously, some of that record is kind of tough to swallow in some instances because, you're losing a one-possession game to Kansas. You're losing a one-possession game to West Virginia. You're losing an overtime game to Oklahoma State. So if those games go in our favor, we're right there at the top in the Big 12 hunt. I still think we are. The most recent win over Oklahoma was absolutely key to keeping us in the hunt, and we'll cover that later. But overall, with the guys that we lost and the age and experience of our team, I'm very happy with where we're at through this point of the season.
And I want to say one thing about the Big 12. It's a goddamn wagon.
Yeah.
The Big 12 is the best division in college basketball right now.
Pound
Big
for
10,
pound.
They can argue, but the Big 12, every single game is a big game in conference play.
No, I would say pound
They
for
are
pound, it's
stacked.
the best conference.
Absolutely.
As much as I hate Andy Katz, and I do hate Andy Katz quite a bit, he has 7 teams going to the to March Madness from the Big 12 this year. Even though I believe that Oklahoma State, and Evan, this would be a time for you to have some facts, big facts.
Big stats with Evan.
Is Oklahoma State on suspension from going to the tournament this year, or is that waived because of COVID?
Yeah, that got repealed. I think that they are not allowed to play in the Big 12 tournament. But they are allowed to play in the NCAA tournament. And I do want to point out that I could see 7 stretching to 8. Last night was a
You
big-time win for
think
TCU.
TCU's going to the tournament, buddy? I don't know.
Well, I think if they continue to play well, they've swept Oklahoma State, who would have been a top 25 team had they have won last night. They're right on the fringe of that top 25 ranking. We can get into the semantics of that, but just another proof of how stacked the Big 12 is. It is unbelievably stacked. In my lifetime of watching Big 12 basketball, I do not remember this conference being this good ever.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Also, I want to bring up something about the hunt. I think the hunt has been captured by the Baylor Bears.
That's fair enough.
I don't see anyone catching up to Baylor. I do see Texas Tech taking that number 2 spot as time goes on, taking it away from
did you watch
the Longhorns.
The Baylor-Texas game?
Yeah, they just turned it on.
Jeez. It was a 9-point game. Texas was somewhat in it with 15 minutes left. And then all of a sudden, Baylor just steamrolled them. I think that is a very clear number 1 and number 2 team in the country. And after that, that battle for 3 through 10, you got a lot of really, really good teams. And I think Texas Tech is right there.
Completely off topic here, but did you guys see that Greg Brown dunk?
My Lord.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most filthy displays of athleticism I have ever seen.
And then the refs had the gall to tee him up afterwards just for a little bit of a celebration. Come on, that was an unreal dunk. Let the boy celebrate.
All right.
Don't tee him up.
So we have a little bit, of control over this. Let's go through the games that we've missed so far. Evan, your favorite game, I believe, is the Iowa State game, so I'm going to let you take on this one.
Well, this was a big game for multiple reasons. The biggest of which is this is right after the Namari Burnett departure. And I'm not saying that he was integral to our success moving forward, but as a Tech fan, and really probably as the program in general, that hurts to see your first McDonald's All-American leave the program in the middle of the season. Again, I'm not saying it was a huge loss, but I'm just saying, okay, let's see how this team responds. And boy, did they respond in a positive light. They go on the road to Iowa State, who we know is not a great team, but to get a 27-point win on the road. By the way, last year on the road at Iowa State, I think that we delivered one of the, if not the biggest margins of victory on the road in the Big 12, in the history of the Big 12. So we go into Ames and we play lights out. We put up 91 points, brilliant display offensively, hold Iowa State to 64. They're not known as a good offensive team, but we still did our part. I love this game because I thought that our team looked more gelled than they had any game prior. Yeah. And I can't help but wonder if Namari was really hindering our ability to kind of gel as a team. In fact, yeah. Beard wouldn't say it outright, but he did make a comment in a press conference about how their team is playing so much better at this stage. And he said, it's one of those situations where it's an addition through a subtraction.
Yeah.
Nothing other there besides Namari leaving.
I think there's like two sides to that, right? There's that there could be, it was Namari maybe causing some of the issues. But I think there's another thing of there's something about someone leaving a team where a team like really comes together. Yeah. And it's like someone leaves a team, they don't want to be a part of us anymore. Fuck it, let's go out and prove ourselves. We are that team. We are Texas Tech. 4-1, let's take it to heart. And it might just have drove the boys together even more.
I would also say it puts, the remaining players in the more defined roles as you're not going to be splitting more minutes.
Yeah. But I got to agree, Evan, that Iowa State game, it was any road win in the Big 12 is important. It's always good to take one on the road. But that was just an unreal performance. And it was just, I love when it's not just like one of the guys scoring, but everyone is getting buckets. Mack had 18, McCullough had 15, Kyler Edwards had 19, Shannon had 11. And I feel like when you get a game where multiple of that group of four is scoring double digits, Tech has a really good chance to win.
Absolutely.
But you don't always see the consistency across the group. One game McCullers can get 20, then he's going to get 3, and Max can get 25, then he's going to get 6. But when they all are playing together and gelling, that's when you see this Tech team putting up those scoring numbers that we don't always see, those 91 points in the game. I mean, that was just awesome on the road. And it really fueled us right into the next game. Another road Big 12 game with, we all got to be in love with that final possession from Mack.
Oh, my God. This game for McCullough was huge. This is where we really started to see, K-Mac is gonna be one of the biggest players on Tech moving forward, and just how exciting this team is when he's playing real well. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think he was pretty dominant on the boards as well. And he's really showing that, he goes up and gets offensive and defensive rebounds. He's essentially like a junkyard dog like Avery Benson, but with a lot more talent,
No doubt. That's a great comparison. And, I love this victory because of how much I despise the University of Texas. But let's keep in mind that last year we went into Austin and beat UT for the second year in a row. First time we've ever done that. To beat UT in Austin 3 years in a row, man, that's something special. To do it when they're number 4 in the nation, that's a pretty loud statement right there, fellas.
That was a hell of a win, and you're right. McCullough was so efficient. He missed one shot. Missed one shot at 16 points. He did everything right. And we got to talk
rebounds.
We got to talk about the last possession. We got to talk about that.
Let's go through it real quick. Let's go.
No,
I want to go through it a little bit because
But I'm so excited, Chris.
Tech almost looked dead in the water in the last minute, and then just Beard calling up a pressure defense play, which he's done now twice in huge spots, gets the steal, I mean, gives it to I believe it was who was that? That was Kyler Edwards for the easy two. Kyler got the steal. Kyler got the steal. That was, and then that set it up to the right history in this one.
If you want to talk about dead in the water too, the first half was not great.
No,
they're down 10 going into halftime, and like we've talked about before, Beard makes halftime adjustments. They made the adjustments needed. And they came out, and, that first 10 minutes of the half, they put themselves back in the ball game. And then it was kind of a dogfight for the last 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. But, throughout this game, I mean, we just battled, dude. This was a battle. This game was unbelievable. It seemed like when we were right there in it at the end, I think it was Greg Brown, their stud freshman, steps back, knocks down a massive three. Not usually known for his outside shooting. Feels like that we're done. We're kind of letting it slip away, and we battled back.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like we were in it, and then all of a sudden it was Greg Brown hit a three, and then I think Andrew Jones hit a three real deep, and then Greg Brown hit another. And going into those last 5 minutes, Greg Brown had 0 field goals made, and then he started to come up clutch for Texas. He made big shots, and it almost seemed over. And then, like Chris said, went into that pressure defense, started causing some mayhem. And then had that ball when we needed the ball and made the shot, and that's all that matters. Chris, a little hat change, trying to throw us off our game, I guess, going fedora now, showing off that he lives in L.A., not a big deal.
Let's get back to that Mac possession.
On your time, I guess.
I mean, oh my God. I mean, this guy is so clutch, and, I think the Big 12, I think we've already talked about it, players in the Big 12 must hate this guy. He's the most hyped player. He's got all the views. He's probably the most popular player on social media in the country. And you know what? He just pulls up for, which I believe was a three. And I stand by that it was a three.
I stand by it.
Pulls up, just locks it down. I mean, and then afterwards comes with a huge snarl. And then after the play's over, in the cutest fashion, says he needs to go, party with his team and enjoy the win. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Also, you gotta love that decision making by Chris Beard right there. It's like, this is a pivotal part in the game. There's only a few seconds left. They have the ball over midcourt, and they have a timeout. Beard could have called a timeout and drew something up, and you see Mac dribble over towards the bench, and you see Chris just telling him, "Fucking shoot it."
He had the butt out. He was
that spot.
Yeah, when he gets in that stance, man. He was just talking right in his ear in that stance. He's just like, you got it.
But
full trust.
That quick decision making, saying, I trust my guys, just go shoot it. We don't need to draw anything up. You gotta love that. And then you're able to save the timeout for the inbounds play.
Yeah.
And take care of business at the very last second.
There's gonna be a timeout. Even the announcer said, "All right, Tech's gonna take a timeout here." Oh, I guess not.
Wasn't Fran calling that game?
Delivered.
That guy.
Yep.
I hate that guy. He's such a Texas fan, and he was chirping the whole game.
The whole game.
I was like, it felt even better when that.
I don't think there's probably anything scarier in college basketball than when Chris Beard gets in the stance, man. Just right in that stance, just right in your face. That's how you know it's over right there. When he's about because he tore his ACL, right? Chris Beard, with trying to do that stance.
If he tore his ACL, he would just walk it off.
No, he did. He did tear his ACL, I believe, doing the stance.
I think that was his first year, or was it second year?
I believe it was second year.
Well, we come off of, by the way, Texas Tech's first ever top 5 win on the road.
Yeah.
And then, doesn't get any easier. We host the number 2 team in the nation with the Baylor Bears. We ended up dropping that one in Lubbock, 68-60. That final score is not indicative of how the game was for the majority of the game. They pulled away there at the end.
I think it is indicative of the game.
10 minutes left in the game, it's a tie ball game, right? It's tie game, 10
7 minutes left.
I'm saying, in general, with less than a quarter of the game left, it's tied. But then Baylor just...
I will tell you the one moment
they're good, man.
Tech lost this game on one play. And that's when Santos Silva went up, and I think it was 4 offensive rebounds.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And that was...
Put back.
Nothing went in. Baylor goes down and pops a 3. And then as soon as that happened, I mean, they shot lights out from 3. Jared Butler came alive after that point because we held him.
He had not had a field goal the entire game.
Yes, we held him.
And I want to say something about
scoreless.
that. If we think about the Texas game and the Baylor game, both close in their own regards, but Tech is very good at shutting down the best player on a team.
Yes.
Greg Brown did not have a field goal until the last few minutes. Jared Butler did not have a field goal until the last few minutes. They really are good at highlighting a person,
Cade Cunningham,
targeting them, and not letting them score and taking them out of the game. Make the other guys beat you. But with a team like Baylor and also like Texas, they have the supporting cast where they still can win because they got guys like Maceo Teague and Mitchell who are unreal guards in their own respect.
Baylor to me is a Final Four lock. Like if I was putting money down, I'd put Baylor in the Final Four.
I will never say that anyone is a lock, but Baylor is, I think, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I think
they are
see
very, very, very good.
I think you see 3 Big 12 teams in the Elite 8.
I mean, yeah, I could totally see that. I could totally see that. This
if
game.
If you think Kansas isn't going to come alive in the tournament, you're out of your mind,
dude. If you don't think that West Virginia doesn't get their together, and then they could come alive as well, they're very good. Oklahoma
and then you got
State.
Baylor, you got Texas, you got Oklahoma, you got Texas Tech, obviously. And Oklahoma State's a wild card because you got the best player in the country, Cade Cunningham.
Yeah,
like you never know what'll happen with that.
Exactly. I think that was a, I don't want to say a disappointing loss, but I thought Tech had.
It was expected.
But you know which one was disappointing?
This is really bad.
West Virginia, 1 point loss. Heartbreaker.
This one was ridiculous. I mean, it was almost like we needed some of that, I don't even know, karma. It's not even karma. This was Tech won this game, and then all of a sudden, like, West Virginia just came out and couldn't miss. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, if you just want to look at the stat line real quick, West Virginia shot 57.7% from the floor and then 63.2% from 3. I mean, that is ridiculous. And then, I mean, Texas Tech played one of the better games I've seen them offensively this entire year. And on top of it, they only turned the ball over 2 times, which has kind of plagued us in the last couple games as turnovers.
I believe that ties an NCAA record.
I think it actually was a standalone record for a team to only turn it over twice, score over like 85 points and lose.
Yeah.
It's like the first time ever.
Yeah.
But I mean, that game came down to just West Virginia couldn't miss from 3.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
I think they were 9 for 9 and consecutive down the stretch. Like they literally did not miss a field goal. They were 9 for 9.
Yeah, they didn't miss.
And largely, credit Deuce McBride because that guy is just
he loves playing Tech. He loves it, dude.
He did the same thing to us last year.
Every year, this guy just pops off.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to go to what Chris Beard said was, it was almost, he said, yes, they shot the ball real well, but he said it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds of, this is not Texas Tech defense. And I've rewatched this game a couple of times. They left shooters open. I mean, this was not a great defensive performance by Tech. But they've kind of,
That's true, but there's also a lot of guys on that West Virginia team who aren't really considered shooters that were still shooting it lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, when a team shoots 63% from 3, I don't care if they have a hand in their face or a guy foot off. That's still an incredible feat. I mean,
how much were we up down the
It's
stretch?
literally a statistical anomaly they lost.
How much were we up?
We were up 8 with 10 minutes left.
Yeah, and Tech didn't shoot poorly at the end either. I mean, it was just bucket for bucket. It was pretty nuts.
You really had to think, you're watching that game last 5 minutes, you're like, whoever has the ball last is going to win.
Yeah. I mean, we did have the ball last, but...
We did, and it didn't happen, but...
Good shot.
You know what I mean, It was a good shot, it just didn't get it. But this game, as much as it hurt to lose that one, and it would have been unbelievable to grab another, Big 12 win right there, I think about this game, and I'm like, this is just another one where Texas Tech, it's on the road, it's really close, and they've had really close home games too. They've gone either way. Some close wins, some close losses. But if you want to talk about making a team tough for a tournament run, it's these close games.
Yeah, it's these close games.
And knowing what you have to do to win, they're learning every time from one of these. and they're still going to be a high seed. And when they get to
Yeah.
that point of having to win these games down the stretch, when it really, really matters, they're going to be the team that has the most experience. They're going to know what to do.
This is a perfect example on how to learn how to close, because we were up by 12 with 7 minutes to go.
And if you want to talk about closing,
oh God,
let's talk about the next game.
We're gonna talk about this
LSU.
one. This has been my least favorite game of the year to watch.
Let's just say quickly, against West Virginia, we saw McClung drop a 30-piece. This dude was out of his mind against West Virginia.
Yeah.
So hats off to McClung for playing a good offensive game.
Third hat for Chris as we move into
what
LSU.
What are you doing? Why do you keep doing that?
LSU, man. This is my Louisiana hat.
That's his Bayou hat.
And my Bayou hat. Just caught some crawfish and catfish down by the bayou.
He's gonna go make himself some jambalaya.
All right. Well, this game gave me a heart attack.
This game was wild.
And I actually did not get to watch this one live, so I recorded it and had to stay off my phone for a few hours until I got to watch it. I thought we lost this game. To be perfectly honest, I thought we played
most people would have thought we would with 3 minutes left.
100%.
Dude, with 1 minute left. I mean, this was the worst game that I've watched.
They scored 12 points straight to end the game and went by 5.
We scored 12 points in the last minute. Absolutely insane. It was a flip of the script compared to West Virginia.
I know.
I mean, you got to give your hats off to some of those LSU players too. Like Javonte Smart played out of his mind.
I'm so glad that dude lost though. He was barking all game long.
Who got teed up on LSU?
Javonte Smart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. I mean, his hairline is outrageous. You got to feel for the man at 21 years old having that hairline. But he's a player. He's a baller. You know, he's aggressive. He's definitely one of their go-to guys. Him and Watford. But he balled out. I mean, he had 29. But you got the two-headed monster of Mac and fucking Terrence coming down with 22 and 23. And, you know, this is a game where we see K-Mac struggle a little bit. Still had 10 and 6. But, you know, wasn't the 15 to 20 we're looking for out of him. But you have two guys play that well, Mac and Terrence. And Terrence had 23 and 10 boards. And has really embraced this role as coming off the bench.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Shannon, but as soon as halftime rolls around, this dude is playing at a different level. I don't know why he can't come in the first half and bring the intensity and say, okay, I'm going to be the scorer. Maybe there's something going on.
It might be game plan, you know?
You know, I think that's what, you know, Chris Beard has told Shannon, like, hey, I need you to be more aggressive. And he's like, okay. Then he comes in and is more aggressive, and he goes off.
I mean, he has the toolkit of an NBA player.
Absolutely.
100%. He can do it all. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. He's learned how to shoot the ball from deep. He can get rebounds. He can get to the rack. He's been unreal from the free throw line.
He's your best free throw shooter. Yes, I love him as well.
Quick question. Do we see TJ in a Red Raider uniform next season?
It really depends on the tournament run.
There is a possibility that we see both Mac McClung and TJ back for another year.
I'm going to say it's more likely we see McClung than Shannon.
You think? Really?
Absolutely. Agreed. Terrence Shannon's going to be on draft boards a lot higher up than McClung.
Totally
just because he has the NBA toolkit. He's younger. He's got that rawness to his game still. I think that if down the Big 12 stretch and into the tournament, if Shannon keeps playing the way he has been, it's unlikely we see him in a Red Raider uniform.
I completely agree with you.
And hey, I hope he plays that well. Because you know what that means? That means we go deep. That means, what did Chris Beard say? He's going to be the best player at Texas Tech. He said it.
You know what?
Playing unbelievably. I love Terrence Shannon.
I think Shannon's got a better shot at sticking around another year because I think he really respects Chris Beard's coaching, and I think he might want another year under him.
Chris, but that's never the answer. If people are going to draft you, you don't stay behind. That's how you get messed up.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, hey, I would love to see him stay 4 years, but I think he's going to the NBA. And, hey, I would love that for him. But we still have one more game to cover because that LSU comeback was insane.
Hang on. Before we do that, let's talk about Mac McClung down the stretch. Okay? We're down 7, a minute left. He comes up, he drains a monster 3, right? He goes down and makes an unbelievable defensive play. Was that after his second 3? Regardless of what the chronology is here. Is that a word? Whatever.
Chronology,
So
great usage.
Great usage.
He makes an unbelievable steal on that inbounds pass, TJ Shannon. Then he has the presence of mind after egregious air ball from
egregious.
I'm gonna slap you through the computer from Agbo. Absolutely terrible. One
Terrible.
of the worst shots I've seen in a long time.
Awful.
He airballs it by about 3 feet.
3 feet.
Wasn't great.
McClung
Not good.
knocking down that corner three. I mean, dude, that dude has ice in his veins. He won us that game down the stretch, and no one can say
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
No one's going to argue that.
No one's arguing with you here. No, hold your horses.
McClung definitely is the ice water guy. You need a guy to take the last shot. It is obvious who the guy taking the last shot on the team is.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there's going to be a couple games where everyone knows it's going to McClung and they're going to kick it to K-Mac, and he's going to be the one that takes it. But if you have your go-to guy to take the last shot, if it's an ISO play, whatever, it is clearly a McClung right now, and for good reason, because he's proved he's going to hit him. And West Virginia was obviously a heartbreaker, but, I mean, he's 2 for 3 in winning us games.
Absolutely.
In reality.
Absolutely.
I mean, McClung is a gamer through and through.
All right, let's move on to this kind of disrespectful game, Tech versus OU.
Disrespectful.
The only reason I say disrespectful is I don't believe that OU deserved that 9 in the country rate ranking, and Tech dropping to 13. I don't know why.
They had beat 4 top 10 teams in a row.
3.
And also, you got to remember, we did play them without one of their best players. They didn't have Austin Reeves. They had
without 2 key players.
No, Manacor.
All right. Is this an OU podcast? Excuse me.
The other guy.
Williams. He didn't play.
Whatever.
But hey, I'm saying
it
was a huge win.
I get it.
I think they were deserving of their ranking. I do not think Tech was deserving of being moved down to 13 from 10. Sure. But I do think Oklahoma deserved to be in the top 10 with them.
Agreed.
And that was still a great win against a very good team.
Dirty win.
Granted, yeah, they didn't have Austin Reeves, but they're still a good team, and Tech did sweep them. Let's not forget this. Tech swept Oklahoma in Big 12 play. That is huge.
That is massive.
This was my favorite win of the season, hands down.
What?
I'll tell you.
Evan's been on this game since the get-go.
I will tell you why this is my favorite.
Break it down.
Please do.
Because I have been terrified that Mac McClung is too heavy of an offensive weapon in the sense that we don't have the ability to fill the gap when he's off. And guess what? Mac McClung 0 for 7 from the field. It wasn't a great offensive game. Okay, we were 57 points at the end. I'm not saying we played well, super good offensively, but we won a huge game without Mac McClung producing. And that was a big question mark.
I agree with you on that. Now, I will ask, is OU's defense that good, or is Texas Tech's offense just that poor at sometimes?
Well, I mean, I think our offense speaks for itself in that game. We just weren't knocking down open shots. I don't think...
Yeah, Tech could have played better offensively.
No doubt.
But there's no way you can look at Oklahoma and try to say they don't have a good defense.
Yeah.
I mean, both games were low scoring. No team reached 70 points in either matchup.
I don't think OU has an elite defense.
I mean, let's see what they're ranked in the country.
This was a battle.
I would say they're top 30 in defense.
Oklahoma is number 25 in defense in the country.
Okay.
I mean, they're a good defensive team.
Elite?
They're not. I mean, they're a very good defensive team. Obviously, Tech wasn't hitting the shots that you'd kind of hope them to. They shot pretty poorly from the field, but there is 2 good defensive teams, and this was just a drag-it-out dogfight. Like, it's a bloodbath.
Fight.
This is a every bucket matters game.
I was also grinning from ear to ear because at the I've been waiting for this moment. At the beginning of the season, we were talking about who's going to be a big impact player, kind of our dark horse. I've been waiting for Clarence Nadolny to have his breakout moment.
Clarence Nadolny, man.
And boy, did he not disappoint. I may have been wrong when I said that Clarence would be the most improved off the bench. And that's what I said at the beginning of the year. But games like this show how pivotal this dude can be in the offense. And Beard is starting to trust him because look at Nadolny's playing time these past few games. Even after Burnett was gone, Nadolny wasn't worked in heavily. But now, I mean, clearly he's doing something right. He's practicing well. Beard's seeing some potential. and Clarence is stepping up and playing very, very well. I think that Clarence is going to go down as a really, really good player throughout his years at Texas Tech.
All right, I agree with you. Now let's take a little step back and let's talk about Jamarius Burton. What's going on with this guy?
I don't want to. I'm going to hang up this call because this guy
All right, get
makes
off.
me more upset than anyone on the team by far.
I mean, I think about 2 podcasts ago when we were talking about how they made the switch and they had Burton start for Kyler, and he was doing great at working the offense room and spreading the ball and everyone moving better. And maybe that was just like the kick in the ass that Kyler needed because obviously he's been much better since. But since that moment, it's like Burton went into a shell of himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's not confident when he has the ball. He makes a ton of mistakes. And I don't know what happened to him. I really hope he can get out of this funk and be a contributing member off the bench because we do love when, Beard goes 10 guys deep. And if we're going 10 guys deep, you better believe that Burton's on the court.
Vlad sure is not, because Vlad has gotten sidelined during the last.
Vlad's just not ready yet. I mean, I have big hopes for Vlad 2 years down the road, but let's be real, he's not ready.
I trust in Beard though. He clearly sees something in Burton. In fact, multiple games the announcers will say, I was talking to Chris Beard this morning or whatever, and he was saying that if Jamarius Burton starts to play well, that this team goes to a new level. Like you hear that in multiple games. So Beard has confidence in this guy. To me, he reminds me of a Brandon Francis, a guy who has. Okay, listen to where I'm going with this. I'm not saying that he's near as good as Brandon, but what I'm saying is that Brandon came in really high expectations, especially from the coach. Massively underperformed, took him a long time to find his rhythm, maybe even a year, okay? And then he turned into an integral part of the team. So I think that Beard sees this guy as a Brandon Francis type player, as in if he can start to play well, he takes the offense to a new level. That's what I'm saying with the comparison there.
Okay.
All right,
I
brother.
mean, I don't hate that. I mean, I would love for it to be true. I mean, if he can start hitting some big shots, that'd be sign me up. Brandon, it is fair too. He came alive at the right time. We always were yelling, "What the fuck you doing, Brandon? Don't take that shot." And then it turned into, "Oh my God, give Brandon the ball in the clutch." So right. I see what you're saying. And if we want to talk about specific people, one more person I want to talk about who hasn't been filling up the stat sheet, but I feel like has really settled into a great role and really does his part. The person who I thought would be the most impactful player at the beginning of the year, or had a chance, and I also was wrong, Micah Peavy. Peavy, he's not scoring a ton. He's getting a couple buckets here and there. He's not filling the stat sheet, but I feel like he plays such hard defense. He spreads the floor. He moves the ball. I have really liked what Micah Peavy has added to this team.
I completely agree with you, Ryan. Also, he's got that junkyard mentality when it comes to the boards. That dude is flying all over the place. I think he's had a couple down games, but I think he's just going to keep growing. And I think when March swings around, he's going to be one of the best players on the team.
And if he can continue to work on his offensive game.
And his free throws.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just so excited for the next couple weeks getting into the Big 12 tournament time. And why don't we talk about the last part of the regular season? Just what we need to see down the stretch. Obviously, we'll have more podcasts before then. But we got the rest of the games are all Big 12 games. We got Baylor again. We got Oklahoma State again. We got Kansas again. We got West Virginia again. We got Texas again. We got all the big boys coming right back.
Ryan, we've got a chance to move ourselves up in the seedings for March Madness from a projected 5 or 4 seed to we have the chance to become a 2 seed here. So if we can get on a good run, maybe pull out a win against Baylor, possible win against Baylor, I see us as a 2 seed if we can close out in February, big time.
Yeah, we're the riders of our own destiny right now.
I just want to keep seeing improvement on defense, which I know is going to happen because that's every year under Chris Beard, and then I need to see some consistency on the offensive side of things. Other than that, I think we're in a really good spot. I think the team's starting to gel really well together. And that was the biggest thing. That was my biggest thing about this year was, is this team going to come together and play as one unit? And I think they are. I think with the departures that we've had early, I think the team, like we've talked about earlier in this podcast, has become closer, and I think that's really helping us on both sides of the ball.
No doubt.
And you know what I want to see in the real short term? I want to see a win at Kansas State
I'm gonna be a
that's
big
similar
one.
to the win at Iowa State.
Yeah.
A momentum win.
Yeah.
Because, this game, we've had just five in a row drag it out games.
Mhm.
Texas, Baylor, West Virginia, LSU, Oklahoma. All of them. Close games, drag it out. We need to blow the doors off Kansas State. Get that momentum again right before we head back into a back-to-back of West Virginia and TCU. Because, if we get that momentum and we can take those two games, you want to talk about writing your own destiny.
We got Baylor right after West Virginia.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a streak you need to pound Kansas State, take that momentum, beat West Virginia at home, and then who says we can't be the first team to knock off Baylor? Who says it?
No one says it. I'm not
I
saying
don't
it.
say it. I sure as shit don't say it.
Yeah, it's interesting because of the COVID postponement of the TCU game. We got at TCU Monday the 15th, and then at home versus TCU 2 days later.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
I mean, that's like the NBA scheduling that they had to pull off.
Right.
Travel to a city playing back-to-back, but instead we go TCU. TCU comes to us. That's the true definition of can you beat a team twice?
Yeah, seriously.
No doubt.
All right, boys. Well, I mean, do you have anything else to add on this?
All I got to say is I love Big 12 play, and I cannot wait for this next stretch.
No doubt.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Chris.
I'm Evan.
This has been the Raider Power Podcast. Guns up, fellas.
Guns up.
Hands up, baby.